Hello, in this short video I'm going to talk about the voltage regulator. Those of us who've got some older bikes, for example my BMW F650, we sometimes have problems with the voltage regulator. So I'm going to just quickly, in a few minutes, just talk through what a voltage regulator does, what some of the things are that can go wrong with it, how we can do some fixes, what do we do in terms of a replacement and upgrade, and what's the benefits at the end of it if you do replace your voltage regulator for a more modern version. So first of all, I want to talk about how the voltage regulator sits into your electrical system on your bike. So here's this brilliant diagram which I did earlier on, and basically you've got a thing called an alternator. The alternator is what produces electrical power when the engine is running. It produces electrical power in AC format, alternating current. That goes through to the voltage regulator. The voltage regulator then changes that to DC current, which is what we need for our electrical system on our bike. And the other thing that it does is the alternator, the voltage that comes out of the alternator can fluctuate, can get very high, can go low. And what the voltage regulator does, as the name suggests, is it regulates that voltage and makes sure that what comes out of the voltage regulator is not just converted to DC, but is also stable. A stable amount of electrical power that comes out goes to the battery and also goes to power our systems like our indicators, our lights, horn, etc. So the role of the voltage regulator is to produce stable DC power. What happens is if more electrical power comes in, let's say a voltage, say 15, 16 volts, for example, would come into the voltage regulator when we need maybe 12, 13, 14 volts. The overvolt, as it's known, is converted to heat. Heat is generated inside the voltage regulator, and that heat is dissipated. Most voltage regulators, you will see when you see them, actually have fins on them to dissipate the heat. But if too much heat is generated then the VR can't get rid of that heat, the voltage regulator fails, and therefore it starts to stop doing its job of regulating this voltage here. So too much power goes into the battery and into the electrical system of the bike, and that can cause you big problems. It can cook your battery, can kill your battery, and can cause you other problems with your electrical system. So that's what the voltage regulator does in the big picture. It's very simple. I'm not an electrician, I'm certainly not a bike mechanic. That's what it's supposed to do, and what happens is, as I said, is if it gets too hot or if it gets old, then the voltage regulator can start to fail and too much power can go through to the electrical system, and that could cause you big problems. So that's what the voltage regulator does, how it fits into your overall electrical system, what's supposed to happen when it's working well, the byproduct of it doing its job, which is heat, what can go wrong, and what the impact can be if it does go wrong. Now, in the F650 world, what some people do is they relocate the voltage regulator. The standard position for it, I'll just take my saddle off. The standard position for it is here under the seat. This is actually the replacement one that I fitted. But as you can see, here there's not an awful lot of airflow that goes through here to allow that heat to dissipate. So some people relocate the voltage regulator, in some cases on the side of the bike, underneath the side cover on the side of the rear mudguard, and even in some cases people mount it underneath the rear mudguard. I'm not 100% sure that's a very good place for an piece of electrical equipment to be, but there we go. In my case, what I did was, I hadn't had any problems with my voltage regulator, but I knew it was a known failure point. So I replaced my voltage regulator with a new one, which uses more modern technology called MOSFET. So what's involved in replacing your voltage regulator? It's not quite as scary as you might think. It's a case of the voltage regulator comes with its own connectors, and in my case a wiring diagram which allowed me to understand how to connect it up. I had to do a little bit of changing of plugs, but as long as you've got some basic electrical wiring kit, you'll be fine. And in my case, the replacement regulator is a bit thicker on the base, so I had to get two slightly longer bolts in order to allow it to mount in the same position. Other people do relocate the regulator when they fit a new one, but I think I'm happy for this one to stay where it is. I live in the UK. We don't get very hot temperatures all the time, but if you live somewhere where it's particularly hot, you might want to think about alternative placement to enable better airflow. I don't know, I can't make a call on that one. So afterwards, now what I've got is that when I run the bike, I get an absolutely stable 14.3 volts coming through the system. On my bike, I fitted a voltmeter, which is combined with an external temperature gauge and a couple of USB sockets, and that tells me I get 14.3 volts all the time, and that's more than enough to power the additional and upgraded lighting that I fitted in terms of LED rear lights, an LED headlight, which is the subject of one of my previous videos, and LED driving lights. I've also actually on this bike got an upgraded horn, which is a lot louder and more powerful. So that's it. That's the voltage regulator. I'm not an electrician. I'm not a bike mechanic. I'm not going to go into loads of detail about it. You will look on, if you look on YouTube, you will find some hands-on people who kind of actually film the process that they've done in kind of doing the work. That's not the aim of this video. It's just an overview to talk to you about demystifying what a regulator is, understanding how it can go wrong, and what's involved in replacing it. If I remember correctly, I think my replacement regulator was about, £80. But just to Google the regulators, as I said, the company I used is Electrex in the UK. They've got a whole range of voltage regulators for different bikes. Anyway, I hope you found this short video useful or interesting, and it's demystified the voltage regulator for some of you. Just a short video, as I say, and thank you so much for watching. Please, if you found it interesting or useful, if you could give me a like and subscribe. I'm still working hard to try and produce better and better videos for you all, and until I see you again, don't forget, keep riding, drink tea, ride safe. Thanks for watching.